This is Ron with Emergency Management Associates. Wherever you're going to be, you need to have a plan and the emergency preparedness kit, a go bag. Ladies and gentlemen, these are necessities that you need to have. Know where you're going to put your emergency supplies. This is Ron with your plans should be in your preparedness kit. What are you going to do? Make sure your children are involved in this planning step as well. Make sure they also have a small backpack with their favorite toys, books, food, and supplies that they like to eat. It's important not to get children unnecessarily worked up and stressed over an emergency situation. And don't forget your pets. Have your pets with you. They'll always be protective of you and you them. Don't forget an emergency preparedness kit for them. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program tonight. Thank you for being here, guys. We have some things we want to talk about tonight. I also want to talk about the Oregon volcano. Off the coast of Oregon, we have a volcano that is erupting. It's erupting 300 miles west of the Oregon coast. It's west also on the Juan de Fuca Fault. The Juan de Fuca Fault, guys. Now, why are we talking about this? Because it's still erupting, as you can see. Look at it. It's been erupting now 2.5 days. Still erupting now. This is erupting ash up into the surface of the water. And there's actually a ash raft, what they call an ash raft, ash floating on the surface of the water. Ships need to avoid it. Other mammals also need to avoid it. If you get breathing in this ash, even though it's in the water, there is a possibility of having ash, or what they call Pele's hair, from the ash, and it could get into your lungs. It can cut your lungs up and you'll die. You need to avoid it. Plant life also needs to avoid it. It's hard for plant life because ash is falling into the water and ash contains acids in the water, and this can kill the plant life. There are also animals living in the water that have probably died as a result of this eruption. There is SO2, sulfur dioxide gas, in this ash and water here. And this area is contaminated, okay? There's probably some kind of animal and plant life that have died as a result of this volcano erupting. This isn't the only thing that's going on today. I want to also talk about the USGS map here. Let's bring up the map, okay? I'm going to enlarge this map so you can see what's going on. Now, yes, this was tuned into the Southern California area of the Imperial Valley area. Okay, the Imperial Fault is nicknamed such as it is because of the San Andreas Fault where it enters the Imperial Valley up here to the north. It's deemed the Imperial Fault once it enters the Imperial Valley. Down here, near the Brawley area here, Brawley City, this is a 1.3 tremor here in Brawley, California here. Over in Calipatria area to the north here, just south of the Salton Sea, this is a 0.8 microquake here. Now, these are just 2 of 500 seismic events that have happened here in the Imperial Valley today. They're not talking about it. They don't want to tell us exactly what's going on. There are at least 400 to 500 seismic events here in the Imperial Valley every day. There's 200 to 300 to 400 seismic events in Los Angeles every day that they don't tell us about. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Further up here to the north and west here, okay, this is out in the desert area west of the Salton Sea, the flat desert area. This is not even in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains. This is a 1.2 tremor, 16 kilometers, approximately 12 miles south of the Salton City. Salton City is this area to the north right here. This is considered Salton City here. Okay, Salton City is basically a ghost town. I don't believe anybody lives there except maybe tourists that park their RVs here during specific times of the year. It's an abandoned city, basically. Okay, but it's a city nonetheless. It's been that way for about 60 years. Okay, now up here, actually in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains here, this is Ocotillo Wells. This also is a 0.8 microquake here. This is 0.9 also in this area in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains here. Okay, then we go over here to San Diego County. Julian, guys, this is in the city of Julian here. The city of Julian is a small town here, very small town here. Julian has a lot of restaurants. It has some bed and breakfast. It's also a country town with stores and trinkets here you can buy. In the fall, you can come here, August, September time period, you can come here and buy boxes or sacks of apples. You can actually pick them as well, right off the trees. Just about a month or so ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake here in Julian. This is a 0.6 microquake here in Julian, an aftershock of that 5.1 earthquake that hit here just about a month ago. Earthquakes should continue to happen here. They're always going to happen. Up here in northeast San Diego County, this is the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. We have a 1.3 tremor here. We go north here. There's a small swarm of earthquakes here. Why? Let's look at it. This is 0.4. This is a 0.2. To the south here, this is a 1.3 tremor. This is a 1.5 tremor, guys. This is always going to happen. This is always going to happen. This is on the Elsinore Fault. The Elsinore Fault here. Okay? This is always going to happen. This area is prone to earthquakes. This area is very much prone to earthquakes. This is going to happen. Guaranteed. To the north here, also in the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains, this is Idlewild, California. 2.2 minor earthquake here. Idlewild, folks, is a great little town. It also has cabins you can stay in, A-frame cabins that are available 24/7 in the San Bernardino Mountains here in Idlewild. There's stores here. There's restaurants here you can go into and buy breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. It's a great little town. Right now, the snow is melting here, and there's great hiking possibilities. During the wintertime, there's skiing possibilities here in Idlewild as well. This is a 2.2 earthquake here in Idlewild. This is a 1.0 tremor here. This is a 1.0 tremor here. And off to the northwest here, we have a 0.7. This is approximately 8 kilometers or 4 miles southwest of Idlewild. Okay, that's what we have here. Now, they're not showing much of anything else here in Los Angeles, except for this right here. Huntington Beach. This is a 1.8 tremor here in Huntington Beach on the Newport Inglewood Fault. 1.8 tremor here. Out to the east, this is Home Gardens, California. Look here. I want to show you this. They say this is an explosion and a quarry blast. Really, a quarry blast here? It's nowhere near a quarry. Look what's here. This is not a quarry blast, USGS. This is near a housing development. This is on the just probably 100 yards south of this housing development. This is not a quarry blast. It's not an explosion. This is a 1.0 tremor here in Home Gardens, California. Again, I want to point this out because USGS doesn't know what it's talking about. If they even think that it might be something else, they put that something else. They don't bother researching it. USGS doesn't research anything anymore. They're out of their minds. This is a 1.0 tremor here in the greater Los Angeles area here in Home Gardens, California. Okay, that's where it's at. Nowhere near a quarry, even though they deem it a quarry blast. I want to go further north here. This is a 1.8 in Fontana, 1.8 tremor. Guess what, guys? It's not just tremors here in Fontana. We have full-blown 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes going on right now in Fontana, and I can prove it. If I opened up the seismogram from Fontana, California, which I could do, it will show 3.5 earthquakes here, probably 6 or 7 3.5 earthquakes here in Fontana. That's a fact. To the southeast here, Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda is up here to the north here, right here. This earthquake is on the outskirts of Loma Linda. The medical center is right up here. This is the Loma Linda Medical Center here. Okay, this is just outside the city of Loma Linda, a 1.2 tremor. Down here we have Mira Loma, California. We have seismograms from Mira Loma as well. Here we probably have, I'm not going to say because I haven't opened this seismogram today, but we have at least 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes and tons of tremors here in Loma Linda. It's unreal how USGS can say there's a 1.2 tremor here in Loma Linda, and they don't bother showing all the other earthquakes that have hit here. They just randomly put them here. Literally. Up here to the north of Los Angeles, the Grapevine. I've driven the Grapevine Interstate 15 freeway many times. This is on the north side of the Garlock Fault. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. We've had a 5.0 earthquake here about 6 months ago. To the north here, to the northeast, I should say, Bonefish, California. This is a 1.1 tremor here in a volcanic area. Almost everything here in the Bonefish area is volcanic. This is a volcanic field. This whole area is a volcanic field. So we have a 1.1 tremor here in Bonefish, California, to the north. Here we have a 2.0 earthquake in Kernville, California. This is somewhat of a volcanic area, but there's also several minor fissures here, and these fissures are actually minor earthquake faults in the same area. So a 2.0 earthquake in the Kernville, California area today. Let's go further north. Ridgecrest, good old Ridgecrest, California. July 4th, 2019, we had a 7.2 earthquake here. We had a 7.2 earthquake in Ridgecrest, California. This is actually 10 kilometers or 5 miles east of Ridgecrest. I have Ridgecrest mapped out here so you can see it. This is 5 miles east, 10 kilometers east of Ridgecrest, California. This is a 2.1 earthquake. 2.1 earthquake. This is also 9.5 kilometers deep. About 4 miles deep. 4 miles deep here. Now, I'm not going to go moseying through California here, except to say we have other earthquakes here. We have a lot of other earthquakes here. I want to point this earthquake out right here. This is Parkfield, California, on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 0.6 microquake on the San Andreas Fault. Parkfield, California just happens to be the earthquake capital of California. Earthquake capital of California. Okay? We have earthquakes all over this region. USGS is still not actually showing us exactly what's going on. I want to show you one earthquake over just northeast of the San Francisco Bay. This is a 3.0 earthquake here on the Hayward Fault. On the Hayward Fault. This is a 3.0 earthquake here in Alamo, California. Alamo, California. This happens to be 7.6 kilometers deep, approximately 3 miles deep. 3 miles deep, just east of San Francisco Bay. Okay, that's what's going on. 2 more earthquakes here. This one here to the north of California here, off the coast, is actually on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.8 earthquake out in the ocean on the San Andreas Fault, just west of Petrolia, California. This is a 2.8 earthquake, 2.8 minor earthquake. Further out here to the west on the Gorda Escarpment. This is all part of the Cascadia subduction zone, the southernmost part of the Cascadia subduction zone region. This is a 3.1 earthquake here on the Gorda Escarpment. This happens to be 6.2 miles deep. 6.2 miles deep. Now I want to go up here to the north here, just off to the east or to the west side of the Juan de Fuca Plate. Okay, right here. This is where that underwater volcano is, the axial seamount. This is 300 miles west of Oregon. 300 miles west of Oregon. This is just west of the Juan de Fuca Fault here. That's where it's at. Okay? Now, I want to go around the world real quick and show you some of what's going on. First off, look at Alaska. Look at Alaska. I told you this was going to happen. Yesterday, we were showing you all of the earthquakes. Most of them are right here in the southern Alaska mainland Alaska area. Now we have earthquakes up to the north. We have earthquakes down here in the Alaska Aleutian Island chain here. Up here to the north, this is actually the frontier of Alaska here. Okay, this is the Arctic Circle. This is a 1.4 tremor here. This is Alatna, Alaska, 99 kilometers northwest of Alatna, Alaska, over here in the Arctic Circle. Also in the Arctic Circle to the northwest here is a 1.7 tremor. 1.7 tremor here. Okay, we don't often get earthquakes up here in the Arctic Circle, but we do today. Look at all these earthquakes. There are over 60 earthquakes here in Alaska today. 60 earthquakes here in Alaska today. Down here in the central part of the Alaska Aleutian Island chain here, we have a 3.8 earthquake here near Nikolsky, Alaska. Nikolsky, Alaska. Further to the west here is a 2.0 earthquake. All the other earthquakes here in the Atka, Alaska area and down here to the west here in the Rat Islands here are minor tremors. 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor here. Unreal. Okay, let's go down here to the south. Again, yesterday we had a 5.1 earthquake over here on the island of Hokkaido. Today we have a 4.2 moderate earthquake east of Hokkaido here, just offshore of Hokkaido, Japan. This is the northernmost island of Japan. This is a 4.2 earthquake. This happens to be 27 kilometers deep. 27 kilometers deep. We go south. USGS is not showing us any earthquakes here in Japan, but there are. These earthquakes are all moderate earthquakes. To the south here, just west of the Mariana Trench in the Bonin Islands, this is a 4.3 earthquake here. 4.3 moderate earthquake here. Now I'm going to drop to the south here. They show one earthquake in the Indonesia area. Unreal. There are 24 earthquakes here in Indonesia, and they show us one. One 4.4 earthquake here near Komodo, Indonesia. Just east of Java here. 4.4 earthquake. This happens to be 130 miles deep. 130 kilometers deep, 130 kilometers deep. 24 earthquakes in this area, and they don't show one. What's wrong with that picture? Let's go over here to China. This is a 4.5 earthquake here. Bought at 4.5. This is 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles deep. Okay? China. They're not talking about any earthquakes here in Myanmar area. Not one. Why not? We have earthquakes ranging in size from 4.6 down to 1.0 tremors. A lot of earthquakes. They're not showing one of them. I have an issue with that. They have one earthquake here in Zhonghe, China. Zhonghe, China. Zhonghe, China. 4.6 moderate earthquake here. Let's continue out here. They're not showing any earthquakes here in the Himalaya Mountains. They're not showing any earthquakes in Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, or Afghanistan. Big problem, because there are earthquakes there. There are earthquakes here in Iran and Iraq as well. Why are they not showing them? I have issues with that. A lot of issues with that. Now, I want to come over here. Turkey area, eastern Turkey. They're not showing one earthquake here. Why not? There's 32 earthquakes here in this area. 32 earthquakes, ranging in size from 3.3 down to 1.0. Why? All the earthquakes here are aftershocks of a major earthquake that hit here on February 3rd, 2023. Major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit here. Killed 5,000 people and injured over 5,000 more. That's why I have an issue with these earthquakes not being shown today. They don't want to talk about them. They don't want to admit they're happening. But they are. Earthquakes all over this area. There's a reason. Aftershocks. These are aftershocks to that major earthquake. Unreal. Now this earthquake fault coming out of the Syria-Turkey border region, it drops down here in the eastern Mediterranean. It runs south of Cyprus here, It goes down here into just south of Crete. Guess what? Just a few days ago right here, we had a 6.4 earthquake. 6.4 earthquake. Guess what? This island where this 6.4 earthquake was near felt this earthquake. This is a tourist trap. There are hotels and residences all over this island. All of the Dokkanese Islands offshore of Turkey here belong to Greece. This is a Greek island here. People felt this earthquake. Nobody got displaced, but there are residents here that felt this earthquake. 6.4. If this earthquake had hit on land, this island would have been devastated. As it is, people here on Crete also felt part of that earthquake. They didn't feel the full brunt of that very strong 6.4, but they did feel the earthquake. The ocean waters of the Aegean Sea absorbed the shock waves of most of that quake. That's what's happened here. Now I want to go north here into the Aegean Sea. 24 earthquakes here as well. Unreal. Again, we have a volcano trying to erupt. There are lines of magma, channels of magma here under the ocean. They're trying to find a way to reach the surface. They're trying to find a way to reach the surface. The magma is hammering away at the bedrock here, trying to get to the volcanoes. Each of these islands was made by volcanic action. Made by volcanic action. Are we going to make another island here very soon? Could be. Or maybe one of these volcanoes on Argos, for example, could erupt. Argos had a volcano here about 1,400 years ago. It erupted. Now this island is a tourist trap as well. Home to a lot of people here. But again, tourists come here during the summer to visit. Nice place to visit. Down here in Santorini, this area also has a lot of people here. About 4,000 people evacuated here 2 months ago. Earthquakes. But the people here in Greece thought that this island would erupt again. Why? Because right here, in the middle of the water where the Aegean Sea comes in here, the center of this water here is a summit of the volcano. Yes, it's going to erupt again. We don't know when. But it can happen. Okay? Over here in Greece, about 17 earthquakes here in Greece. USGS doesn't show one of them. That's an issue. Over here in Italy, down here in Sicily, we have 2 earthquakes. Here in the boot of the sole of the boot here, they term Italy as a boot. Down here in the sole of the boot of Italy here, we have several earthquakes here as well. I want to concentrate on one area right now, right here. We have a volcano right here that's trying to erupt. We have a volcano right here, Vesuvius, that's trying to erupt. This area has had about 800 earthquakes here in the past, I want to say 16 days. That's a lot of earthquakes. Still having earthquakes here. You notice that this volcano is also steaming now. Steaming. Unreal. They're still evacuating people from this area. There are earthquakes hitting here every day. People are scared. People are living in their cars because they're scared. Earthquakes are real. Okay? Up here to the north central part of Italy, 22 earthquakes here. USGS is not showing these earthquakes either. Why? Because they're hoping nobody will even know it, or they're ignoring it themselves. Incredible. USBS is a farce. The United States Geological Survey is a farce. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Italy or in Europe at all. None. Spain has a handful of earthquakes. They're not showing those as well. Up here in Scandinavia, they're not showing any earthquakes here. Southern Sweden here. Southern Sweden down here, we have 3 earthquakes here. These are all tremors and 1 2.2 earthquake. 1 2.2 earthquake, and the other 2 are tremors. Up here near Stockholm, 1 earthquake in Gävle. Gävle is a town north of Stockholm. 1.8 tremor here north of Stockholm. I used to live here. I used to live in Södertälje here. Right here. I used to live in a town of Södertälje here. Great little town. Also, I lived in a town called Timrå in northern Sweden. I used to live in a town called Umeå. This is Uppsala here. I had a friend of mine that lived here in Uppsala. Let's go over here. I used to live in Umeå here. Great little town. I love this town. I still have friends here in this town. Great little place. Great little place. Love that. Loved it. Anyway, this whole area is shaking. This whole area is shaking, guys. When I lived there, there were no earthquakes, but now it's shaking. That's going to tell you something. Over here in Iceland, we're still seeing earthquakes over here in Iceland. Just off the northwestern coast of Iceland here is an island called Grimsey. Grimsey has had 10 earthquakes here today. Don't know why. Don't know necessarily why, but we have earthquakes hitting here in Grimsey. Could there be volcanism happening here? Possibly. But look what's here. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is up here. The Mid-Atlantic Fault. Possibly. Let's consider this. We know for a fact that the Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. It's pushing to the southwest here, pushing eastward here, pushing eastward here. Possibly. Could these earthquakes in Grimsey be part of that push by the Mid-Atlantic Fault? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Incredible. My buddy Demon Catman is one of our mods here on this channel. He just got here to the chat. Again, YouTube didn't notify him. YouTube did not notify him. Guys, if you're not being notified, check and make sure you have not been unsubscribed from our channel. YouTube unsubscribes many people every day. They unsubscribe many people every day. Check and make sure you are still subscribed. And if you're not, resubscribe this channel. It's imperative you resubscribe this channel. Now I want to go down here into Africa. We've had numerous earthquakes here recently. This is Tanzania, or Tanzania, I should say. This is a 4.7 earthquake. 4.7 moderate earthquake. This is 10 kilometers deep. Look where it hit. Right in this area here. What do we have? What do we have here? Folks, there is a rift zone. There is a rift zone. It runs from here in Tanzania all the way up north up here. All the way up here to the Red Sea. Unreal. We've had earthquakes here before. We've had a lot of earthquakes here in Ethiopia. Now, I have not checked personally in Ethiopia to see if we haven't had any earthquakes today. Sometimes we do, and USGS doesn't even notify us. Unreal. Unreal. But that 4.7 down here in Tanzania is an example of the earthquakes that we're going to see here. That area is going to split. Okay? I used to say I didn't think there was going to be a split here in Africa, but I believe there is. I believe it's going to happen. Okay? Now, down here to the south of South America, in the Drake Passage area here, we had a 7.4 earthquake here just a week or so ago. This is a 4.4 earthquake here again. A 4.4 aftershock of that 7.4 earthquake. This is also 10 kilometers deep. Nobody felt this earthquake because the waters of the Pacific Ocean here absorbed the shockwaves of that quake. Let's go over here into the Eastern Pacific here. This is a 5.0 here. 5.0 here on the East Pacific Rise. East Pacific Rise, this is near Easter Island. Easter Island, 5.0 earthquake. Out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the ocean waters absorb the shockwaves of this quake. This is a 4.7 aftershock of that 5. 4.7 moderate earthquake, still 10 kilometers deep. We go over here to South America. They're showing us one earthquake here. There are actually 22 earthquakes here in South America. This area here in northern Chile-Argentine border area has an earthquake. This happens to be a 4.3 earthquake near the border region of Chile and San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. This is 79 kilometers west of San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. This is in the Andes Mountains here. This is the border region, like I say, between Argentina and Chile. One earthquake. Guess what? 24 earthquakes here in South America. They show us one. They show us one earthquake in northern Chile, where we have the majority of earthquakes. 14 earthquakes here in northern Chile. They show us one. What a joke. Down here in central Chile, more earthquakes here, about 7 earthquakes down here in central Chile here. They don't show us. Why not? That's why we call USGS BS. That's exactly why. Let's go over here. I've been waiting to show you this. This is in the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand. The Kermadec Islands are a bird sanctuary. No human beings live here in the Kermadec Islands. The only way you can visit the Kermadec Islands is to come here during high tide. That's the only way you can get a boat in here. If you come here during low tide, your boat will be torn up on the rocks here. The underwater volcanic rocks here will tear your boat to pieces. This is a 5.0 earthquake here in the Kermadec Islands. They're not showing earthquakes down here in New Zealand at all. Why? Good question. We've had 4.5 earthquakes here. Not today, but we have. Most of the earthquakes here are just 2.4, 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, and one 3.5 earthquake here in New Zealand. They're not showing them. They're not showing them. Why not? This is just one example more why we don't trust this agency at all. Not at all. Okay? I used to be a preeminent geologist back in college. I was told to respect the USGS, and I did. But now the USGS has a lot to be desired. They don't want to tell the truth. I have problems with that. I have real problems with that. Now, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about with New Zealand. I'm going to activate our webcam here so I can show you this information. Look at all the earthquakes in New Zealand today. Look at that. All kinds of earthquakes. Why are they not being shown? Why? I have real problems with that. Up to the north in the Kermadec Islands area, 5.0. Just south there, a 4.8. South of there, 3.52. South of there, 3.6. South of there, 4.53. Then we come down here to the Bay of Plenty here. Look at all the earthquakes down here in the Bay of Plenty. We call this Bay of Plenty the catcher's mitt. It looks like a catcher's mitt. A lot of earthquakes there. South here in the Bay of Plenty, 3.2, 2.92, 2.87, 2.27, 2.4, 2.74. Over near Adelaide, just off the coast of Adelaide in the catcher's mitt, 2.42 here. Adelaide, 2.21. Over just on land over here, just south of the Bay of Plenty, this is a 3.7 earthquake here. Okay, let's go over to the east coast of New Zealand. This is Tulaga Bay, Gisborne, New Zealand. 3.01 minor or small earthquake. 3.01 small earthquake. Further south here on the east coast, 3.12. South there, 2.21, Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. Now, I'm going over to the west coast of New Zealand here, North Island. The North Island is called Raoule Island, Raoule Island. Okay. Over here, just west of the volcano. Just a second. Just west of the volcano. This is a 2.45 earthquake. 2.45 earthquake. Let me show you that earthquake here. There it is. This is just barely northwest of that volcano there. South of there, we have a string of earthquakes here, east to west. 2.54, 2.43, 2.3, and just south of another volcano, we have a 2.38. Down in the water here, this is the Cook Strait here. The water between the North and the South Island is called the Cook Strait. This is a 2.53 earthquake. 2.5 minor earthquake here. Okay. Then we go down the South Island. We have 3 earthquakes on the north side of the South Island. Tasman region, Belgrove, 2.28. Then we go over here near Christchurch, Canterbury, New Zealand, 2.26. Further south of there, Lewis Pass, 2.24. Then we go down to the central west part of New Zealand. We have another 2.94. 2.94, 3.0 earthquake right there. Then south of New Zealand, just up the southern coast of the South Island. This is a 3.1 earthquake there. USGS didn't show one of them. Not one of them. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26 earthquakes. 26 earthquakes, and they're only showing a 5.0 just north of that. 26 earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? I have real issues. I have real issues with that. They're not showing any earthquakes up here in Vanuatu region. Right here. There are earthquakes here. There are 6 earthquakes here. This is the 4.2. Vanuatu. 4.2 going to the northwest here. 3.9, 3.7, and 3.9 again. 3 earthquakes right there. To the north. This is off to the west side of this island here. It doesn't say which island it is, but just off the coast of this island here. This is a 2.8 earthquake. Vanuatu. Okay. Then we go up further to the northwest. Also in the Vanuatu Islands, a 3.4. 6 more earthquakes. 6 more earthquakes. This is why I don't like the USGS. We have people down here in the southern part of the ocean, of the Pacific Ocean here, that watch this program. We want people to understand what's going on. Okay? We want people to know what's going on. Now, I just told you about all those earthquakes here in Indonesia. Look at that. Okay? Again, up in Myanmar. Look at the earthquakes here. And again, USGS is not talking about any of them. All those are aftershocks. Aftershocks of that 8.4 earthquake. 8.4 earthquake. Sick. It's sick. It's sick. Sick, guys. When we have this many earthquakes in Indonesia, there's a reason that they're not showing them. We are having a massive earthquake swarm here. massive earthquake swarm. There are 7 different tectonic plates. One tectonic plate subducting under the other. One tectonic plate subducting under the other. That's bad. That's bad. Look at the earthquakes here in southern Philippines as well. To the south of Mindanao, Philippines, the largest island of the Philippines, 3.3. On the east side, another 3.4. To the north side of Mindanao, Philippines, we have another 3.3 there. Small earthquakes. Small earthquakes. South there in the Sarangani, Philippines area, we have a 3.0, 3.6, and also a 2.8. Okay? Incredible. Luzon, Philippines. Luzon, Philippines, the northernmost island of the Philippines. Here is a 3.2 earthquake there. To the northwest side of Luzon Island, this is a 4.2 moderate earthquake there. Okay? I've given you a kind of a tour of what's going on in and around the world. Okay? Folks, you asked me to talk to you about emergency preparedness, and that's exactly what I want to do tonight. I want to give you an update what's going on around the world. I just did that. I want to make sure you are aware of what's happening. That's why we're here. We have fires going on all around the globe. We have massive storms going on all around the globe. Folks, you need to be aware of it. You need very much to be aware of what's going on around you. If you're having a massive storm, be aware of it. Be very much aware of it. And know what you can do to protect yourselves. Our dear friend, Renee Steppi, is putting up information about storms here along the east coast of the U.S. tonight. Okay? She just put up a death storm warning. A death storm warning in Lincoln, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, DeWitt, Illinois, Logan, Illinois, McLean, Illinois, Macon, Illinois, Platte, Illinois, and Vermilion, Illinois. Major death storm warning. 6:45 p.m. is still ongoing. 5:15 to 6:45 p.m. Central Time, which is ongoing for another 25, 30 minutes. This death storm warning is going to be very bad. Very bad out there. Renee also, just prior to that, talked about a tornado warning near Paducah, Kentucky, for Perry, Missouri. The National Weather Service, Paducah, Kentucky, is warning that tornadoes have been sighted near Perry, Missouri. If we get any more information from Renee Steppi about tornadoes or tornado warnings or watches, we'll give them to you as soon as she puts them up here. Cordova and Denton, Missouri, seek shelter now. Severe thunderstorm heading your way. Head your way. That's our daughter calling my wife here. So Carol's fielding calls from our kids while I'm on the air. Anyway, I told you you asked me to talk about emergency preparedness tonight. That's what I'm going to do. I want to talk about, you wanted me to talk about bugging out or bugging in. We're going to talk about that tonight. Now, if you might be interested in preparedness, we're going to talk about that. Every Friday we do this. Every Friday we talk about preparedness. We talk about things happening around the world, and then we talk about emergency preparedness for the remainder of the time. Renee Steppi just put up a tornado warning issued just a little while ago by the National Weather Service in Indianapolis, Indiana, for Greene, Indiana, and Sullivan, Indiana. It's a tornado warning. Take cover now. Take cover now. If you're in your home, go to the center of your home away from windows. Go into the center of your home or in the basement of your home down to a basement corner. If you can, put a blanket over the top of you. to cushion you from anything that might fall on you. Now, I've always told you to have some kind of whistle or something else where you can knock on pipes and let people know that you're alive. Have a whistle you can blow to save your life, to allow people to know you're alive in your home, whether you're buried or not. Okay? Sweet Polly Purebred is here. Polly, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. Now, I told you we're going to talk about preparedness, and I'm going to. You guys wanted me to talk to you about bugging out and bugging in, sheltering in place. I'm going to be a little lighthearted about this tonight. I'm going to give you some identity here. You might be interested into preparedness if. You might be into preparedness if your buddy who's in the police calls you every time he has a question about firearms. Or you secretly want to know about what, when crap hits the fan, to prove to everyone that you were right. Or you might get ammo for a Christmas present. You might be into preparedness if you get ammunition as a Christmas present. You panic more often when you realize you left home without your folding knife. Your folding knife. I keep my folding knife on my pocket right here on my pants. You might panic more if you realize you left home without your folding knife than when you might have forgotten your phone. You might be prepared and wondering about preparedness if you immediately notice when you walk into a mall, you notice where all the exits are in every mall and supermarket you walk into. You notice the exits. What does crap hits the fan mean? What does it mean? It means when the S key, the H key, and the T and F key on your keyboard has been worn off. That's when you know you're more interested in when crap hits the fan. When the S, H, T, F keys are worn off your laptop's keyboard. Or you feel hungry whenever you walk in the park and see dandelions and clovers growing. Yes, dandelions and clovers. They're good to eat. Good to eat. Dandelion greens can be cooked up just like spinach, and with a little vinegar can be eaten. They're very tasty. You might be interested in preparedness when you have food that's older than your kid. You might be interested in preparedness when you see your buddy's new hybrid and secretly think that he's an idiot because there's no way he can bug out in that. You might be interested in preparedness when you deny your 5-year-old daughter a pink dress because it's not gray. You might be more interested in preparedness when you have more tampons than your neighbors combined, but everyone in your house is a senior citizen. You might be interested instinctively in preparedness when you look left and right at every intersection and wonder where all those roads would take you. You might be interested in preparedness if you buy tobacco and you don't even smoke. You might be interested in preparedness when you look at every animal, imagining how you'd look to catch it and what it might taste like. You might be interested in preparedness when your bug out location is also the place you spend your vacation time. I'm real. You might be interested in preparedness when you put your bed on stilts so you can fit more preps beneath it. You might be interested in preparedness when you see the bubble wrap every time you unpack a package from somebody else. You see the bubble wrap. You might be interested in preparedness when you look at people who eat out every day and say to yourself, don't worry, my time will come. You might be interested in preparedness when you have gallons and gallons of whiskey, but you never drink it, waiting to barter with it. You might be interested in preparedness when you need an extra job to pay for your preps. You might be interested in preparedness if you offer to cut dead branches from your neighbor's trees so you can stockpile the wood. You might be interested in preparedness when you go to the laundromat and ask for their dryer lint. You might be interested in preparedness when you go to Walmart or another survival store and buy duct tape every time you go to the hardware store or those other stores, even though you have plenty of it. You might be interested in preparedness when you always sit closest to the exit at a wedding. You might be interested in preparedness when you bring home more stuff from the dump than when you had when you got there. You might be interested in preparedness when you see a rusty nail on the side of the road and you stop to pick it up. You might be interested in preparedness when you buy alcohol and tobacco instead of food, so one day you can trade it for food. You might be interested in preparedness when you name your survival knife. You might be interested in preparedness when you realize that you have more toilet paper in your home than your local mini market. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you have a Bic lighter on you, even though you're a non-smoker. That's me. You might be interested in preparedness when you have your nug. Next to the bathtub when you're taking a bath. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you gave your number away to every wrecking company so they can call you whenever someone has a deer. Yeah, the wrecking company calls you when somebody hits a deer. You might know when you're interested in preparedness when there's a strong storm or a blizzard coming your way and you get excited. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you store more toothpicks and empty pill bottles. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you notice a bucket full of dirt and all you see is potty. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you're working your butt off in the gym, yet you really don't care what you look like. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you feel uncomfortable wearing clothes with very few pockets. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you have a weapon for your birthday. You get a weapon for your birthday and you return the favor. You might realize you're interested in preparedness when you visit every restaurant and deli within a 5-mile radius and ask if they can give you the food grade buckets. Guilty. You might be interested in preparedness when you're thinking about divorcing your spouse because he or she doesn't want to prepare. I don't want you to do that, guys. Don't do that. You can still prepare, but keep it under cool tool. Don't divorce your spouse. It's not worth that. Love her, take care of her, love your husband. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you actually are cleaning your nug. When you're cleaning your nug, don't forget to do that. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you're already marking the trees you're going to cut down when a natural disaster hits because they might block your way out. You might know you're interested in emergency preparedness when you own more rounds than dollars. Bingo. Got me again. You might know you're interested in emergency preparedness when you have a fishing rod and hooks even though you don't fish. You have a fishing rod and hooks and you don't even fish. I fish. I've got plenty of tackle and I have got 2 fishing rods. I used to have 5 or 6 fishing rods. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you have a bag full of condiments discreetly taken from all the places you've eaten at. You have a bag full of condiments that you've secretly taken from places you've eaten at. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you buy tea in 1-pound bags. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you use Google Earth to find all the ponds and swimming pools in your town and print the results. Mark them all with XES and have already figured out the shortest routes to each of those homes. To find out that the power was off in your area for 3 days, and you notice that your power has been off for 3 days, and you know your own routine has not changed. Interesting. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you run out of storage space, so you begin to get rid of your furniture so you can store more stuff inside. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you buy stuff just to take it apart and use the components. Don Patoka says he takes the fifth on all those charges and claims. I take the fifth on many of them. Now, you might be interested in preparedness when everyone comes to you when they have a small injury, because they know that you'll know what to do. I'm there. I'm right there. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you have a cookbook all about spam. All about spam. My wife and I have been writing down and keeping recipes to use spam for. And yes, we've started saving spam. Buying cans of spam and saving it. Demon Catman says he invokes his right to silence. Me too. Richard Smith says chair out of cans. Yes, making a chair out of cans. I've done that. You might be knowing that you're interested in preparedness when you refuse to walk into a mall full of people because you're afraid of a terrorist attack. I walk into malls, but I'm very careful when I do it. My eyes are roaming the entire area. My eyes are always roaming the entire area from left to right and even behind me. I know who's behind me. I know who's beside me or off to the side of me. Always. But that's a police officer in me. That's a police officer in me. Sweet Polly Purebred says, yeah, getting rid of stuff so you can eat to survive. That's a good one, Ron. Yeah, it is. Don Patoka says, even if you're past UB date, it's okay to open. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. You might be interested in preparedness because people assume you're in the military from the way you dress. Not me. Don't do that. Don't dress in fatigues. Don't dress in camouflage gear because you don't want anybody to know what you're doing. Don't do that. Don't do that. The only way you'll see me in any camouflage gear anymore is if I'm out camping. That is the only way you'll see me in camouflage gear ever. Ever. And yet, when I was a police officer, I had turnout gear in the form of a long sleeve camouflage shirt with a badge on it and camouflage bug out pants. Unreal. Excuse me. Gotta have a drink of water here. You might know you're into preparedness because you're jealous that homeless people are more off-grid than you. You notice that homeless people are more off-grid than you. You might realize you're into preparedness when you instinctively reach out for your nug whenever you awake from a nightmare. I don't do that. But my nug is very close to me. My nug is very close to me at all times. You might be interested in preparedness when your favorite pair of underwear is camel. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. You might know you're interested in survival when you seal cotton balls to save space. You might realize that you're interested in emergency preparedness when you think you'll really start living when crap hits the fan. You're going to really start living when crap hits the fan. And everybody else is wondering, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You might realize you're interested in preparedness when every square foot of your lawn is used to grow edibles. That's my patio, guys. That's my patio. We're growing the garden on our patio this year again. Again. Don Patoka says his badge of honor is a P51 or a P38 on a king ring. That could be me as well. That could be me as well. Now, folks, Demon Catman here is in the chat. He says Ron pays hundreds of dollars a month to keep going with this program and bring you the information. Please consider donating to paypal.me/emergency EMER MGMT ASSOC 591 or paypal.me/rltnspd at hotmail.com or on Venmo at Ronald-Tyler-17. Thank you for that, Demon Catman. I appreciate it. Please, folks, please help us keep this program on the air. We'd appreciate that. Any donations here on the chat in the form of a super chat, a super thanks, or over on our PayPal or our Venmo locations, or even if you send us a card or letter and stick some cash or a check inside the card or letter. At the bottom of your screen, you see right now our addresses rolling across the bottom of your screen. Both our email address and our real address here at 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. You also see our PayPal and our Venmo addresses scrolling across the screen above that. Please, folks, we need your help. We'd appreciate it a lot. Trish Killian is here. Thank you, Trish, for being here. She says, hello, Ron and chat extremely late, but wanted to say hello. Trish, some of our mods don't even get notified when we come on the air. That's sad because YouTube keeps telling people to click on that little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon and then click on the word AOL, all. That should get you notified when we come on the air. But YouTube keeps unsubscribing people. Folks, keep checking your subscriptions to make sure you're still subscribed to our program. If you're not, please resubscribe, and when you do that, click on that little bell icon. Then that drop-down menu of 3 items is going to pop back up. Click on the word AOL so YouTube will notify you when we come on the air. But be advised, they don't always do that. We try to come on the air every Monday through Friday between 6 and 7 p.m. Occasionally, it's a little bit later than that, but not often. I always try to keep this channel motivated and during that same time period, between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for that, guys. We appreciate it. We do. Let's keep talking about preparedness here. You might be interested in preparedness when you're more excited about opening a 10-year-old can of Spam than a 10-year-old bottle of wine. Now, I don't drink. That's just what I've been told. Okay? Linda Covington says, keep your binoculars close by and install solar lights outside and get a Ring doorbell for identifying strangers. That might be a good idea. If you don't want to get a Ring doorbell, there are other companies out there that will sell you doorbells with a camera and a microphone. They're not that expensive. You might be interested in preparedness when your toilet paper smells like pickles. I was just told that as well. My toilet paper does not smell like pickles. You might know that you're interested in preparedness. You may have met your spouse at a gun show or nug show. I'm sorry, YouTube. Forgive me, YouTube. I made a word that you don't want me to say. Don't use that word, guys, please. Oh, gosh. Renee Sevi says also, don't get underneath an overpass during a storm because it might collapse on top of you and trapping you underneath it. Or if one of those storms blows through and blows the air underneath that overpass, a great big huge tornado hitting that overpass could suck you out of that under that overpass and suck you into the tornado and kill you. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Okay? You might be interested in emergency preparedness. When you spent your last $200 just to reduce the weight of your bug out bag by 2 ounces. Don't do that, guys. Keep your money. Keep your money. Every time I get a little bit of cash, I salt it away inside our bug out, or not our bug out, but our emergency preparedness kit. I'm salting away every dime and nickel I can get. Okay, if I turn my money in and they give me cash, I put it in our preparedness kit. That's what I do. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you avoid shooting the house when you're making videos with your family outside. Don't shoot your house, guys. Don't shoot anywhere near your home. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you're using DuckDuckGo instead of Google to read about preparedness and survival. I use DuckDuckGo because I don't want Google telling the world and the government where I'm at. And yes, Google tells the government everything. Sweet Polly Purebred is here in the chat asking a good question. Polly Purebred is asking, why are the electrical storms getting worse in the state of Michigan? Do you have a thought? Polly, the electrical storms are getting worse all over this country, not just in Michigan. The government, guys. The government. Okay? When you see one of those great big huge balls near an airport, or you see these great big huge radar systems near an airport, it's not just to guide planes in. The National Weather Service has those radars up. Those radar vectors pull in storms. Those electrical vectors pull in storms. They always do. We are getting storm manipulated. Our weather's being manipulated, guys. Our weather's being manipulated. I promise you that. I know that for a fact. I've seen it. Okay? You might know that you're involved or interested in preparedness when your kids can't hide under the bed when playing hide and seek because of all the cans and preparedness gear under the beds. You might realize you're into preparedness when you're thinking of selling your house and buying a boat to serve as your new home and double as a mobile BOV. Isn't that something? Having a mobile boat instead of an RV. You might know that you're into preparedness when your NUG safe is closer to your bed than the alarm clock. You might realize you're into preparedness when your dog has a bug out bag and wears it every time you walk out. I'm guilty. Carol and I are guilty. Our Chihuahuas both have bug out bags. Both of our Chihuahuas have their own bug out bags. Yes, they have treats. They have treats in their bug out bags. Those are small dogs. If they were bigger dogs, they might also have some food and even a water dish along with it. But our dogs have their own go bags. We make them carry their treats in the go bags. You might realize you're interested in preparedness when your friends are trying to get you on reality shows that have to do with prepping, survival, and hoarding. None of my friends that I live anywhere near realize what I'm doing. except for you guys. Millions of people probably see this show. Millions of people probably seen this show over the last 6 years. They know me. They see my face. They know what I'm doing. But I am also encouraging you to be prepared. Sweet Polly Purebred is saying Grand Rapids, Michigan is wicked. Oh, I realize that. I've seen the storms going through there. People might realize you're interested in preparedness when you feel relieved when all the snow piles up and on around your house because you see it as a backup water source. I haven't done that yet. I don't see snow as my backup water source. However, I see it as a place where I can freeze whatever I'm drinking. For example, a Diet Dr. Pepper when I get them, or maybe even my bottle of water out in the wintertime. Yes, I put it out in the snow to keep it cold. Renee Steffi's talking about another storm in the chat. A tornado warning issued today at 5:49 p.m. Central Time until 6:30 p.m. Central Time by the National Weather Service in Paducah, Kentucky, for Jackson and Perry, Missouri. If you live in Jackson and Perry, Missouri, please, guys, take cover now. You have a tornado warning. A tornado has been sighted on radar or by eyes on the ground and need to be going to your bug out location right now. Go there. Be safe. Be safe. Trish Killing says she has checked and I was right. She'd been unsubscribed. YouTube does that. Unfortunately, YouTube unsubscribe people because they don't like me. They don't want people to be subscribed to my channel because I tell it the way it is. I don't lie like other channels. I don't make up things. I tell the truth. Now, you might know that you are interested in preparedness when your dog thinks that the UPS guy is part of the family. Pretty much true. Don Patoka says he gets unsubscribed by the YouTube all the time. I believe that. I have been unsubscribed from my own channel, believe it or not. And I'm the channel owner. Unreal. You might realize that you're into preparedness when your hiking boots are twice as expensive as your regular run-around shoes. You might realize that you're interested in preparedness when you think 3 times before throwing anything away. I don't think 3 times. If it's worn out, it goes out the door. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you consider what your pet might get based on skill set. Yes, our dogs are based on skill set. We've trained them. Our dogs are very wary around strangers. Our dogs also know when they need to have things just in a certain place. Our dogs know when it's time to leave. Our dogs know when it's time to scurry into a safe place. You might be interested in preparedness when you don't allow your kids to have overnight guests until they bring in their own bug out bags of their own. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Don't allow your kids to have overnight guests unless their friends bring over their own bug out bags. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you wait until everyone leaves the room before you open the boxes from Amazon full of food preps. You might know when you're interested in preparedness when your pantry is bigger than your bedroom. That's not the case in our house. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you say to yourself, hey, what if I'll need this? What if I need that later before throwing anything out? You might realize you're interested in preparedness when you consider which pet to buy for flavor. That's not us. That's not us. We don't eat our pets. You might realize that you're into preparedness when you have plans A, B, C, D, and E for everything. I don't think we've gotten past A, B, or C yet. We have an emergency plan A, B, and C here. That's what we've done. I encourage all of you to have an emergency preparedness plan. Everyone should have an emergency preparedness plan and then a backup plan. What if this happens? What if that happens? You should address every kind of scenario that you can possibly even think of and write that into your plan. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when you have more pet food than other people have for themselves. Fact. You might know you are interested in preparedness when your balcony is full of plants in vertical containers you barely have room to get inside. Kind of. Sweet Polly Purebred is here in the chat saying net spend pre-cards are having issues looking for a new area to reload. Ron, should you not get next payment? That's the reason I'm working on the issue, sir. No problem. I appreciate that. When we want these money cards, we go to Walmart or other store like that has a lot of different cards we buy. And yes, we have people that send us cards in lieu of cash. We appreciate that a lot. It helps us pay the bills. Renee Stevy's here in the chat also warning us about another tornado warning. Again, for Jackson, Illinois. If you live in Jackson, Illinois, get into your storm shelter immediately. There is a tornado warning in your area. Make sure you're getting into your storm shelter immediately. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when part of your vehicle maintenance is checking the potable water levels. The potable water levels in bottles. Yes, Carol and I have water in our vehicle all the time. We have food in our vehicle all the time. Our vehicle itself has a preparedness kit with oil, with radiator fluid, tools, and other essentials for the car, just in case something happens to the car. You might be interested in preparedness when you check every penny you find or get to see if it's made before 1982. Because money, the coins made before 1982 are worth some money now. You might know you're interested in preparedness when you call all your neighbors for poker night to secretly figure out who's a prepper and who isn't. You might realize you're interested in preparedness when your neighbors thank you for lowering the crime rate in your neighborhood. That's me. Our crime in our neighborhood is negligible. People leave their cars unlocked here all the time, unfortunately. I tell people to keep their cars locked and the windows up. Okay? Renee Steffi just issued another tornado warning here by the National Weather Service for Owens, Indiana. For Greene, Indiana, and also Owens, Indiana. Take cover now if you guys live in those areas. Take cover now. Get in your shelter immediately. You might be interested in preparedness if your body armor is in a drawer higher than the one that you hold your socks in. My body armor is hanging on the side of my dresser. I have it very close to me all the time. My body armor is always hanging up. You might be interested in preparedness if you know that every plant in your home is edible. Bingo. You might know that you're interested in preparedness when your Christmas socks are waterproof. Yeah, that's me. You might know that you're interested in preparedness. Your backups have backups, which also have backups. True story. Have a contingency plan, guys. Always have a contingency plan. Please do that. It's safer that way. When you write your plan, have a contingency plan also written into it. Renee Steffi's also got another tornado warning from the National Weather Service for Cumberland, Indiana, Effingham, Indiana, Effingham, Illinois, not Indiana, Illinois, Cumberland, Illinois, Effingham, Illinois, and Jasper, Illinois. If you live in those areas, take cover now. Take shelter now. Okay? Linda Covington is saying they can steal important insurance papers and info from your car as well. That's why all of that information I have backed up in my emergency preparedness kit. All of my documents have documents. Okay? I have my copy of my documents in my preparedness kit in that Ziploc bag. Okay? Lastly, this is no joke. You name your dog MRE. No, Carol and I have not named our dog MRE yet. We might say that one of our dogs likes treats and likes or table scraps. That's Holly. Renee Steffi has another tornado warning for Sussex, Delaware, and Caroline, Missouri. Sussex, Delaware, and Caroline, Missouri, or Maryland. Caroline, Maryland. Okay? You might know you're into preparedness when your kid wants a pet chicken so you can get 15 of them. 15 pet chickens. You might know and realize you're into preparedness when you're anxious that it rains because you don't have a means of collecting that water. We do that. We have a blue barrel. We have a blue barrel with a filter. That's a good place to have water in. Okay? You might realize you're into preparedness when you walk into a friend's house and wonder, how long would they last if they had to bug in? Good question. That's a very good question. Okay? Now, let's talk seriously. Yes, I kind of joked around for the last 20, 30 minutes, but I want to get down to brass tacks right now. I was a police officer. My dad was in the military. One of my grandfathers was a blacksmith for Union Pacific Railroad. The other was a conductor and an engineer for Union Pacific in Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe. My parents, my father, and my grandfathers served their country well. My uncles did as well. But folks, I don't like taking orders. I do not like taking orders. I'm taking matters into my own hands. So I'm not just preparing. I'm going to frickin' war. I am going to frickin' war to provide you with the best survival and preparedness content out there. That's what I'm doing. I want you to have the things you need when something happens. Not in case, but when it happens. Because it will. It will happen. It will happen. And I promise you it will. I used to think very positively. Oh, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do that. Folks, guess what? I don't think if anymore. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. I know it's going to happen. I've been around the block. I think many of you have also been around the block. Yes, I've joked around a little bit during the past half hour, but I've been giving you ideas on how you can prepare yourselves. Yes, I've joked around a little bit, but it's honest and true. You need to consider what we've talked about and consider where you're at and what you've done to prepare yourselves. I'm serious about this. I'm very serious. Get prepared and do it now. Ask yourself this. If anyone who wants to be prepared when crap hits the fan, you need to address this question. Should you shelter in place, or should you bug out when crap hits the fan? 9 times out of 10, you're going to shelter in place. 9 times out of 10, you're going to shelter in place. I promise you, that's the answer. Yes, there is 0.1%, 1% of the time, when you may need to bug out. And yes, we have talked a lot about bugging out. Renee Stebbies also issued a tornado warning here for Sussex, Delaware, and Mount Holly, New Jersey. Sussex, Delaware, and Holly, New Jersey. Take cover now, guys. Take cover now. There's no easy answer to that question, because it also depends on your circumstances and the nature and severity of the crap hits the fan scenario, the crap hits the oscillator scenario. Rather than give you every single answer that you might not be right in every situation, I've been trying to show you the pros and cons of each situation, each scenario, and how to know when you should shelter in place or bug out. The pros and cons of bugging in, sheltering in place. The biggest benefit of sheltering in place is that you don't have to risk traveling anywhere else. You don't have the risk of traveling anywhere else. Risks. What are the risks you might face by bugging out? Number 1, you might not have enough gas in your car. I have counseled everyone to always keep a full tank of fuel. Always keep a full tank of fuel, and that's necessary. That is necessary. Keep a full tank of fuel. Another negative thing about possibly bugging out. The police and or the military may be putting up a checkpoint on a major road or highway. I keep counseling people to always avoid the highways and the busiest roadways. Why? Because of possible roadblocks. Stay on surface streets. Stay on surface streets, guys. Since you're sheltering in place, you know your home. You know what you're going to have to do to secure your home. Making your home a veritable castle. Making your home a veritable castle. Impenetrable castle. Why? Because someone might be watching you. and know that you're a person that prepares. So they're going to come knocking on your door. When things get really bad, they're going to knock on your door and say, so-and-so, I want in. Let me in or I'm going to kick your door in. What are you going to do then? You need to plan for that scenario as well. What are you going to do to protect your home and family? What are you going to do to protect your home and family? I personally am going to use everything possible to protect my home and my family, and everything that I work for that is here. I'm going to protect my home and family, number one. If they want to steal from you, good luck. Good luck. Because I'm going to take them out. I am going to eliminate the threat. If I feel my life and family are in danger, I will eliminate the threat. That's me. Each of you have to make a decision here. What are you going to do? What things have you been trained to do? I've been trained to eliminate the threat. If you're anywhere near me, I'm going to help protect you. Absolutely, I am. You also have to make that part of your problem, part of the scenario that you're going to solve. Make that part of the situation you're going to solve. You need to have a bug out plan. You need to have a shelter in place plan. Record all that information in your plan, your emergency preparedness plan. I've been talking about that for 6 years now. You need a preparedness plan. Okay? If you're at home, you're already there. You know exactly what needs to be done when crap hits the fan. That means there's no risk of getting stuck in traffic or being attacked by someone or getting hit by a checkpoint, stopped. And then have the military or the police ask you what you're doing or what is in those boxes you have. My boxes are in the back part of my car. And yes, I'm going to shield them from any prowling eyes. So nobody's going to realize what I'm doing. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Renee's here in the chat with another dust storm warning issued today at 6 p.m. Central Time for Cook, Illinois, DeKalb, Illinois, Kendall, Illinois, LaSalle, Illinois, Will, Illinois, Lake, Indiana, and Porter, Indiana. Be safe. A tornado warning was issued for Caldwell, Kentucky, Christian, Kentucky, Todd, Kentucky, and Trigg, Kentucky. If you're anywhere in those areas of Caldwell, Kentucky, Christian, Kentucky, Todd, Kentucky, or Trigg, Kentucky, take cover now. Get in your shelter now. Get in your shelter now. Now, since you're going to be sheltering in place, you're going to need to have lots of supplies. Lots of supplies stacked up to last you a reasonably long time. We've been talking about this. Carol and I have about 6 months worth of food, and now we're working on a year's supply. We are working on a year's supply. If we use something, we replace it. If we use something, we replace it, and we put the new replacements in back of the other food that we have. That way, we're always using fresh food. It never goes bad on us. Think about that. The drawback to sheltering in place is that it's not sustainable. There will come a point where you may run out of food. When you are in a position you need to ration your food. Not go hungry, but ration your food where you have that food that you need. You're going to assume that things will never return to normal, or they won't return to normal for a while. But they will return to normal at some point, and that your supplies will last until then. That's what we're figuring. We're trying to get to the point where we have supplies in place to last to a certain point in time. Hopefully by that time, things will get better. But if things don't return to normal, where will your food and water go after that? What will happen when your food and water runs out? What happens when your supplies run out? Plus, if the situation continues long enough, you might have to deal with hordes of unprepared masses who want to desperately knock on your door and take you out in order to desperately get at what they need or what they think they need, even if they break into your home to kill you to get what they want. I want to talk about the pros and cons of bugging out. There are two big benefits to bugging out. You're isolated from most people, and you'll be able to live a sustainable life for the foreseeable future. A sustainable life for the foreseeable future, because you're outdoors. You're able to trap animals for food. You're able to go after those plants that you know you can eat. Yes, you need to make and find a book or a pamphlet of edible plants so that you know what you have. Okay? Renee Stuppy's also talking about another tornado warning. This time for Alexander, Illinois, Bollinger, Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Scott, Missouri, and Stoddard, Missouri. Take shelter now, guys. If you're in that tornado warning area of Alexander, Illinois, Bollinger, Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Scott, and Stoddard, Missouri, take shelter now. You have a warning. Take shelter now. Don't chance it. Okay? If you bug out to a remote location, you can grow your own food. You can source your own water and harvest natural resources from the outdoors. However, there are some drawbacks here. First, you need to be able to get to your bug out location safely. Again, you have to have at least 3 different routes to go on. 3 different routes to go on. Avoiding the roadblocks, avoiding the police and the military to keep you from going where you want to go. Use service streets. A good bug out location will be a good distance away from the city, but that means it'll take longer to get there and more things can go wrong. The other problem you might have with bugging out is it might become an extra expense that you might not be able to afford. Having a bug out location is basically like owning a second home, which many people can't afford or even maintain. If you can't simply afford a bug out location, then you're going to have to shelter in place. Still, there are ways to buy a cheap property that most people can afford, even without having a big income. See if you can afford to buy a cheap location. How can you do that? Check for lien sales. People that can no longer afford their homes or afford their property, check lien sales. That way you only have to pay the tax on the property and it's yours. Think about that. Renee Sevy's giving us another tornado warning for Greene, Indiana, Monroe, Indiana, and Owen, Indiana. If you live in the Greene, Indiana, Monroe, Indiana, or Owen, Indiana areas, take shelter now. Take shelter now. Renee says there are currently 11 National Weather Service warned tornado warnings. If you guys are under a tornado warning anywhere, take shelter now. Okay? So we talked about possibly buying a property for a lot less than you normally pay. How do you make the right choice? Now that we're clear on the pros and cons of each, sheltering in place or bugging out, it should be easier to decide which is the right choice for you for different situations that you might encounter. Different crap hits the fan situations that you might encounter. First, let's make something very clear. Let's make something very clear. You might not even have a choice. You may never have a choice. If the crap hits a fan event is a hurricane, a flood, or a fire, you're going to have to bug out, whether you want to or not. But now let's imagine that you do have a choice. What do you do now? What do you do now? You need to quickly be informed about what happened. Was it a storm? Was it an EMP like we talked about last week? Are there riots that went out of control? Yes, certain cities here in the US and even in Europe and England, there have been riots. In England, they've been having Islamic characters, Islamic idiots, running around with knives trying to kill white people. Yeah. In England, that's a way of getting people off. Killing people to get what they want. Here in the United States, that's happened as well. In Texas, the Islamic people are trying to build their own city. Now that's on hold because it's illegal. It's illegal to make a city only for a certain group of people. It's against the law. It's against the law throughout the United States, but it's happened. It's happened. In Michigan and Minnesota, Islamic people have taken control of cities, literally. They've taken down the signs in the cities, making those signs read only in Islamic characters because they have taken control. We cannot allow that to happen. Sorry, we cannot allow that to happen. In Texas, the government is trying to prevent the Islamicists from taking over that city. That's what should have happened in Michigan and Minneapolis, but they did it anyway. They did it anyway. Renee Steffi's also had a tornado warning issued for Alexandria, Illinois, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Scott, Missouri, and Stoddard, Missouri again. If you live in those cities or anywhere near it, take shelter now. Take shelter now. Again, riots are happening. They're happening everywhere. The elites of our world are trying to force a pandemic down our throats again. The National Health Organization that we withdrew from this year is trying to institute a new pandemic, trying to kill people. And they've said those words. They said they wanted to start a pandemic to eliminate the population. Fact. Fact. Renee Stevie says a storm warning reissued out of Chicago, Illinois for Cook, Illinois, DeKalb, Illinois, Dupage, Illinois, and Kane, Illinois. a dust storm warning. Get out your mask, get out your bandanas and put them over your nose and throat to avoid inhaling that dust. Getting back to the riot situation. If you find yourself in that type of situation, or you find yourself being threatened by the World Health Organization, yes, the bird flu, guess what? It's not what the elites said it was. They tried to force the bird flu down our throats back in about 2008. I was part of the planning organization in the Denver area where we could seal off neighborhoods. It was all because the elites wanted to take control. Guess what? Denver is taking control. Denver has been a communist city. Denver has become a communist city. I'm sad about that because I was part of the planning to take neighborhoods, neighborhood by neighborhood, and seal them off. Folks, you need to be aware of what's going on around you. Find out what has happened. If a riot or something like that has happened, find out what has happened so you can make informed decisions. You need to be able to make informed decisions, guys. This is mandatory to get through what's going on. The biggest factor you're going to need to consider is time. Think about how long it will be before things might get back to normal, if ever. If it's not going to be that long, it's probably not worth the risk of traveling to your bug out location. For example, if the riots will die down eventually, so that you might be able to safely bug out then. But there's no recovering from an EMP attack. So sheltering in place is the best choice there. Also consider what other people are doing in response to the crap hits the fan situation. Consider what other people are doing. Are they panicking? Are they fleeing? Or are they waiting around in disbelief, waiting to be picked off? Waiting to be picked off by the gangs. That's what's happening in Oregon as well. Last week, Portland became a hit piece for Antifa, rioting in the streets and burning down buildings, because that's what the government allows them to do. If they're still waiting around, you might have a good opportunity to bug out without much resistance if they're over here and you're over here. But if everyone is fleeing, you can shelter in place for a few days or weeks and wait for things to die down before fleeing or bugging out the area. Understand that some of us might not be able to physically be capable of even bugging out. That sheltering in place might be our only choice. In that case, you're either going to need to stock up on more supplies or try to get your neighbors on board with preparing so you can rely on a small group of people, like-minded people, for support. We've talked about that. We've talked about all of us uniting together. But don't give away all your secrets. Don't give away all your secrets unless you absolutely trust someone. You need to be able to be absolutely trustworthy yourself and those other people also to be trustworthy. Don't tell everybody everything you have or everything that you know. Don't do it. Don Patoka said something in the chat that's very applicable here. You and only you alone are going to be able to bear responsibility for you and your family. You and you alone will be bearing responsibility for your family. Now, I told you a few minutes ago about how broke people can get land for cheap. Owning land in rural areas is a great survival asset. It allows you to hunt game, grow natural crops, raise animals, and get away from the unprepared masses of the cities in a crap hits a fan scenario. The problem is this: some people don't think they have enough money to buy land. However, there are a few ways broke people can get their hands on land for cheap. If you've thought about going through a realtor was your only viable way to buy a property, you might find these methods unorthodox. However, these ideas still work great if you're willing to put the work in. You're willing to put the work in. That's the other thing we've always been talking about. You need to put the work in. Renee Stebby's talking about a tornado warning for Carrier Mills, Illinois. If you're in or around Carrier Mills, Illinois, take shelter now. Okay? If you thought you were going to go through a realtor and that was the only way to buy property, there are other ways in order to buy land for rock bottom prices. But you're going to have to do a lot of the work yourself. We talked about tax liens a few minutes ago. Not everyone who owns land actually wants that land. Some people have inherited property after someone passed away, and the land is either a financial burden or a maintenance burden. Go through your local papers and look for people under tax liens. Tax liens. That is a time to be able to get property for the cheap. If they can't afford the land, chances are they haven't been paying their property taxes. You can also check with your counties and your cities and look for these properties. When a property owner doesn't pay the taxes on a property, the government takes measures to get their money out of those means. One of the first ways they do that, the government can put a tax lien on the property. A tax lien gives the government a legal claim to a property as a means of paying a back debt. The property owner has a period of time where they can pay the back taxes and get their property back. But if they still haven't paid up, then the government gets a tax lien, a tax deed. A tax deed gives a legal government owner ownership of the property. Gives the government legal ownership of the property. The government doesn't have much use for the properties like this, so they try to do the next thing to sell it to anyone who wants it, so they can collect the money. This may be good news for you, because the government is willing to sell this land for cheap. Tax liens are usually sold at auctions, with the starting price being the amount of taxes, the back taxes owed. The downside is this: you're going to be competing against other bidders. You're going to be competing against other bidders. But not every property will have much competition. Not every property will have much competition. If you go to enough auctions, it's likely that you'll eventually find something that's desirable as a bug out location. And it might be cheap enough for your budget. So how do you find these tax lien properties? The easiest way to contact the government offices about them. You might also check the classified ads in your paper or online. The government's going to want to get rid of these properties, so they usually have mailing lists or even downloadable PDFs of local listings. If you get a mailing list or get on a mailing list, you'll get updates when new properties become available. This makes this search easier because you don't have to do anything after signing up. Just be able to see it. Another way is foreclosed land. A foreclosure is very similar to a tax lien, except it's done by a bank rather than the government. A foreclosure occurs when a property owner has taken out a loan to buy a property, but it hasn't been paying the loan back. The bank that issued the loan then wants to reclaim the property, to reclaim the money and their investment. Banks prefer to sell these properties rather than hold on to them, which means buyers like you and I get some great deals on foreclosed properties. Again, the property owner has a period of time where they continue trying to pay off the loan and get their property back. But if they don't still pay, the property goes to auction, where you'll be able to compete against other bidders for the property. Make an offer. Here's a method not a lot of people use because it requires a bit of work, but it can produce a lot of amazing results. Find an area where you'd like to retreat in case of a crap hits the fan scenario. Drive through the area. Take a note of all the places that you're interested in and look like they're either run down or not occupied. Then find out the living addresses of the property owners. Find out the living addresses of the property owners. These probably won't be listed anywhere. So you're going to have to do some asking to the neighbors to see if they know anything. See if the neighbors know who owns the property. If they don't know, maybe you can do some searching. Once you have the property's owner contact information, write them a short letter explaining that you're interested in buying the property, and then make them a fair offer. It works even better if you can pay it in full. Pay it in full. Don't offer too little. Otherwise, they might get offended and refuse to sell to you, even if they would have been interested in selling before. Be honest with people, and they'll be honest with you. Now, you should be able to use these methods to find an inexpensive piece of land. However, nobody's going to give away land for free. So you're still going to have at least a little bit to start with. You're going to have a little bit of money to start with. Try to save your tax return to use as a bargaining chip when dealing with sellers. If you still don't think you can buy land, consider downsizing to a smaller property or even moving west. Some property is cheaper in the west of the Mississippi, but not always. My wife and I have looked about moving back to Utah. Property's not cheap in Utah at all. Not at all. Property's actually cheap over here in North Carolina. Some property's very cheap here in North Carolina. Think about that. Also, make sure you are prepared to live off the grid before you go through looking for a property. I have a lot of things that I've written down. I'm writing a book right now. If you have questions, send me an email. I'll be happy to get back with you and give you any things that I can think of that might help you. I'll be happy to do that. Once you get your new property, make sure to start planting seeds right away so you can have a reliable food source as soon as possible. Make sure you can have a reliable source of food as soon as possible. Do you guys have any questions about anything we said? This is important. This is really important. Any questions? Laura's here in the chat saying, in Oregon at a property auction, it's cash, basically cashier's checks, only sales, arrive with small amounts. There's no charge given back if you don't have the exact amount. Think about that. I've heard that too. There is no change given back if you don't have the exact amount. arrive with small amounts of money. Do that. My buddy Don Patoka is also one of my dearest friends. He says here in the chat, and I've said it all during this night, create and write plans for life's emergency scenarios, A, B, C. Then practice. Refine them until they become automatic, an automatic reflex, even routine. And as always, as the scriptures teach us, if you are prepared, ye shall not fear. You shall not fear. I trust in the Lord. I trust in the Lord. I have maps. I have all kinds of things to get me where I need to go. Now it's all up to you. It's up to you. I've given you the information you needed. Yes, I have more information around that I will be willing to share with you. Please share information with me so I can help you. I'll be more than happy to do that. Renee Sevi says tornado emergency near car carrier mills outside Harrisburg, Illinois. If you guys are there, be very safe. A tornado emergency, a tornado warning. That means property's been destroyed. Pray for those people that are going to need it. Pray for those people that are going to need it. Brothers and sisters, I ask God to bless you. I ask God to bless you this day and always. We love you. We consider you family. We love each and every one of you. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, everybody. Be safe. Be prepared. God bless. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love. Well, doggone, what is going on here?